meeting. Go off of your watch or your phone. Pop up the phone.
We welcome you to the regular meeting of Helotes City Council. It is May 13th, 2021. It is 7:00 p.m. We welcome you to this first regular meeting of council that is back to open to the public, face-to-face meeting, and thank you very much for everybody coming. Appreciate it. It's quite a showing. We're going to have the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. I'm very honored to have my father, Dale Whitehead, do our invocation. So if you don't mind, please stand. While we're thinking of it, if you have cell phones, please turn your ringers off, silent, vibrate.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you acknowledging our frailty as human beings and our total dependence upon you for wisdom and guidance in the affairs before this body. We ask for your wisdom upon each member of this council as they address the matters before them tonight. We ask for patience and consideration for each other and a true concern for those who have chosen them to govern the affairs of this city. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, we ask for your blessing on the city of Helotes, the great state of Texas, and the United States of America. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Well, this brings us to a great point of joy for me to be able to welcome two members of council and a new mayor. And tonight we are going to take our oath of office being administrated by our presiding Helotes Municipal Court Judge, Mario Trevino. Thank you. I guess I'm listed first, so I guess I'll come down.
Please raise your hands. I,
Rich Whitehead,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of the mayor of the city of Helotes,
of the office of mayor of the city of Helotes
in the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state.
of the United States and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God. Oh, I'm a long way without that. Thank you
Where
very
do you
much.
want to take it?
Councilman. Please raise your right hand. I
I, Matthew McCrossy,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of
the duties of the office of
Council, Place 3 of the City of Helotes,
Council, Place 3 of the City of Helotes,
of the State of Texas,
the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state,
of the United States and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God. Thanks, sir.
Come on.
Good. Thank you. Sorry.
Please raise your hand. I
I, Matthew Merchant,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of
the duties of the office of
Council, Place 5
Council, Place 5
of the City of Helotes,
of the City of Helotes,
of the State of Texas,
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state,
of the United States and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, well, that brings us to item number 3, which I'm honored to be able to deliver a proclamation. Do we have representatives from the City of Helotes Public Works? Right there, here we go. Excellent. This week has been declared National Public Works Week, where we recognize the Department of our Public Works. We recognize that the I'm actually just going to come down, if you don't mind, come on up front, and we're just going to read this proclamation. It's my great honor as today, as will hopefully in the future, many other opportunities to be able to recognize excellent works in our city of Helotes. And it is a great honor that I get to today talk about our Public Works Department. And in honor of this Public Works Week of 2021, we have a proclamation I want to give to you, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. Whereas the public works professions focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Helotes. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our transportation, water supply, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is a public interest for the citizens of Helotes to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in the respective communities. And whereas today we recognize the work ethic and efficiency of our qualified and dedicated public works supervisor, Joshua Mayer, public works crew leaders Justin Vincent and Tim Miller, and public works crew members Mark McGraw, Corey Bullock, and Richard Rodriguez and Miguel Cruz, who reflect the highest standards of professionalism while striving to improve our city services and the quality of life for our citizens. Now therefore, I, Rich Whitehead, on behalf of the members of City Council, and by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Helotes, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 16th to 22nd, 2021 as Public Works Week and recognize and commend our public works employees for their service to our community. Thank you very much. And as a double blessing, we also get to recognize EMS. We have representatives from EMS. Join us. Come on. It is my great honor to be able to recognize Helotes' EMS and our medical services. Certainly I'm a career firefighter myself, so it's near and dear to my heart, but it's just one more division in the city of Helotes that has demonstrated excellence, and therefore I am blessed and honored to be able to deliver to you this proclamation. Whereas the emergency medical services are a vital public service, and the members of our emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving cure and care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency nurses, and physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize our highly trained emergency medical services team, members Captain EMT Jack Quipp, Captain Paramedic Garrett Daughtery, Captain Paramedic AJ Freeberg, Engineer Paramedic Vincent Rowell, Engineer EMT Advanced Sam Richards, Firefighter Paramedics Derek Smith, John Sobzak, Jennifer Harris, Larry Hewitt, Brian Walker, and Firefighter EMTs Quentin Rose, Ernesto Lara, Marcus Mendoza, and Paramedic Juan Vargas Martinez. Now therefore I, Rich Whitehead, on behalf of the members of City Council, and by the virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor of the City of Helotes, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 16 to 22 of 2021 as National Emergency Medical Services Week in the City of Helotes, and commend and recognize our EMS personnel for their dedicated service to our community. Thank you very much.
There's one.
One there. Here we go. All right. There we go. Appreciate it. Thank you. This brings us to our public hearing. We have a public hearing to give all interested persons the right to appear and be heard upon a request by Methodist Emergency Room for a specific City Council approved use permit to allow a medical institution other than a hospital on property zoned overlay district B3 OD located at 12285 Bandera Road, Helotes, Texas 78023, and identified as VCAD property ID number 1227502. This public hearing is open and it is 7:13 p.m. Do we have anybody signed up to speak?
Mr. Mayor, nobody signed up to speak for the public hearing.
Okay. Therefore, we will go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:14 p.m. This brings us to citizens to be heard. Do we have anybody signed up for citizens to be heard?
We did have somebody sign up, don't know if he's here, Mr. Dan Jones.
Jones? No? Okay. Then we'll close our citizens to be heard. That brings us to our consent agenda. This evening, consent agenda items cover items number 7 through 14. These are taken by a motion and approved all in one action, unless there is a question or an item that wants to be pulled by a council member. Do we have any questions or items that want to be pulled?
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So it has to do with the agenda, it's just a question. So it has to do with the quarterly investment report. And I was just kind of curious about the EDC shows a $200,000 loss, and I'm sure there's a reason for that. I was just wondering if you guys could clarify. It looks like it's $262,000. That's the way I'm interpreting it. If I'm interpreting it wrong, please correct me, Mary.
And you're talking about a monthly drop?
It's a quarterly.
It's a quarterly drop.
And the market change value.
Is it really just market forces or?
Right, it was an investment, and then we used some money, we actually moved it out of there into another investment,
Okay.
because there was a drop in that value.
Because the city fund actually went up
Right.
200,000.
And it was just, and I would have to, then to get clarification from Tabby from that,
Okay.
on that, and I can get that for you, get that answer on the next council meeting.
Thanks. But I don't want to pull you, just a question.
We have a net increase though when all is said and done.
Yeah.
Any other questions or issues? All right, in that case, I invite a motion and a second.
So I move we approve consent agenda items 7 through 14.
A second the motion?
Okay. No further discussion being needed. We'll have a vote. All in favor of approval of consent agenda items number 7 through 14, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay. That brings us to item number 15. Item 15 is going to be discussion and action on a request by Methodist Emergency Room for specific city council approval use permit to allow a medical institution other than a hospital on property zoned overlay district B3OD located at 12285 Pandora Road, Helotes, Texas. We have a motion and a second to open item number 15.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Councilman Salazar, you have a motion, you have a discussion, any comments?
Well, the only comment I have is just to remind everyone that the facility was used for medical purposes before. So it doesn't seem to be a big change.
Sanders?
So is there anybody here from Methodist Healthcare? I think I recognize some faces. And I don't know if we need them to come up or not. My question was based on some information that you guys brought up at the P&Z Commission. And I was watching the live stream and I couldn't discern exactly what some of your answers were to some of the questions. So if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you two of those questions again, if that's okay.
Just go ahead and have you come up here and just stand at the podium so we can hear you.
So I think you have to give your name, your address.
Yes, if you don't mind, just give your name and address then.
Kevin Ricker, 8929 for Oaks Parkway, Orange, Texas, 78015.
So my question, and I apologize, I have to ask this because I know you answered it the other day, but I couldn't understand. I couldn't make it out. And so I was really kind of the question that the P&Z asked you was, what is really the difference between your emergency care versus a hospital's emergency care? And I know you answered part of it, and then one of your colleagues came up and answered it as well. And it's really, it's just to make sure people understand what the differences are. And I think I'd ask the second piece of that too is, how's that different from urgent care facilities?
I can answer most of that.
Okay.
And I'll let Brandon talk to more of the business side. He can get more in depth in that. But one of the things you talked about was, because we are different than an urgent care, which basically what used to be there like a first choice, we are a hospital. We're operating under a hospital is what we're doing. So this is the main subsidiary of Methodist is what it is, whereas first choice used to be there. Basically was their own entity is what they were. They weren't operating as a hospital under a hospital license and name is what it was. So that helps answer some of that. That's pretty much at a high level, but
No, that's fine. And I just wanted to make sure. So this ER is actually tied to the overarching Methodist healthcare system.
correct.
It's not a standalone, which is I think a very awesome thing for our city. done some homework and research on your hospital, on your healthcare system, and you guys are ranked in the top tier almost every year in Texas. So I think it's a benefit, in my opinion, that we have your expertise and you're part of that larger healthcare system that will be here. So that's all the questions, discussions that I have.
Okay. Matt?
I don't have
Matt? Okay. With no other questions or comments, we'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor of approval of item number 15 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Going to item number 16. We'll entertain a motion in a second to open 16.
So, Mr. Mayor, how do you want to approach this? Do you want to do this all together, all variances, or do you want to do it separately?
Are you referring to A, B, C, and D?
Yes, sir.
Well, we can do all four separately. I think it was all written and approved as a single agenda item.
That's fine with me.
Okay, I think we'll do it all as a single agenda item. Do we have a motion in a second?
I move that we open the session on item 16.
I'll second that.
All right. Linda?
Okay, so I looked over the paperwork and the signs were fine to me. I know for medical purposes you have to have certain signs, certain size, so it all made sense for me.
No, I'll concur with that. The packet was well put together. I have no questions on it.
Matt?
No, I liked what I read. It's a good place, good signs.
Cindy?
P&Z, who recommended the passing of all of these, I'd like to defer to them. They did a good job asking a lot of questions. One of the questions they did ask was about a sign that the Methodist uses for branding purposes. It says Children's ER. And one of the things was that they thought it might be a little confusing for our citizens to see that it says Children's ER and very big. And they just wanted everyone to know that it is for adults too. It's not just for children's. So I just wanted to just bring that up. It is something that they use hospital-wide as a branding. So just to let people know that yes, you can definitely bring children there, but you can bring adults too. So anyway, that was one of the things they discussed. But I'm for this particular item.
So I think it looks good and appropriate, and it's pretty consistent with the other emergency care facilities, like the one at Westover. It looks very similar. So it's consistent. They're not asking to do anything crazy. And I think it looks good from the street, which is the whole point of our ordinance. So yeah, it looks good to me.
And, I agree. I was at the P&Z meeting, and I thought the debate was excellent, well thought out, good questions asked all the way around. I will go ahead and bring up a comment that was made, particularly when it applied to one of the variances. We're looking for the size of the signs that was brought out. It's, there's a question on how square footage should be calculated. And they have an emblem and a line, and we're calculating the whole square around the entire, where it's actually not that big of a sign. It's this sign and this amount. So the variance is actually based upon the entire cutout, whereas if you were to actually do the calculation, it would be significantly smaller square footage. But either way, they approved to be submitted with the appropriate variances. So if there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor of approval of item number 16 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This brings us to item number 17. This will be discussion and action on request by Britton Lift and Installation for approval of a wall sign pursuant to Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66 Signs, Section 66-51, Commercial Signs, projecting, wall and hanging, or in, on windows, subparagraph B, wall signs for Realty One Group Emerald located at 11535 Gulm Road, Suite 101, San Antonio, Texas 78254, more particularly described the Bearcat property ID number 1122682. For a motion and a second.
So I move we discuss and take action on agenda item 17.
A second?
There's not a whole lot to discuss, so it's kind of part of the process. Discuss it and vote on it. It fits right within the scheme of the ordinance. There's no variances. It's yeah, it looks good from the street, and so yeah, I have no problems with it.
Linda?
Yeah, it looks good to me. I think it's great that we're supporting the other businesses. So I say let's move forward.
Cindy? Yeah.
No, look good. Let's do it.
Okay. No further discussion. All in favor of item number 17 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 18 is a discussion of an action on a request by Keller Custom Signs for approval of signage for Bandera Oaks subdivision located at the intersection of Access Drive and State Highway 16, Bandera Road, and including the following. A residential subdivision entry sign pursuant to municipal code ordinances, chapter 66 signs. And B, wall sign pursuant to municipal code of ordinances, chapter 66 signs, section 66-51. We have a motion and a second. Discuss and act.
Mr. Mayor, I motion that we discuss and take action on item for 18.
I'll second.
Okay, so I apologize if I missed something, but I'm looking at the drawing here, and I've read this several times. The drawing shows that there's going to be some sort of landscaping. Looks like it's going to be some grass and some plants, but I didn't see anything where they were going to trench in there to irrigate that. So is that just for artistic purposes, or is that they're going to xeriscape that or something?
I don't believe this item covers the landscaping, but
Landscaping is required, so yes, they do have to. I assume that they'll put an irrigation system.
Okay.
Just because it's not on there doesn't mean that it's not going to be done.
Okay. And then the second question I have is that they're showing that they're going to use these removable stake lights, stapled solar spotlights, and that's out there, you know, right in front of Bandera. So, we're discussing it. We're going to vote on it. What happens if they disappear in the future? What's our oversight on that, or if they stop working? Do we have any part in that at all? Since we're
It's their prerogative if they want to use solar lighting and not make the expense and do electrical lighting.
is lighting required?
Lighting is not required.
Okay. All right. That's it.
No, I have nothing else other than the lighting you mentioned. I thought it was overtaken, but their prerogative.
Yeah, and your planning and zoning approved this all unanimously, so it's fine with me.
No issues.
I'm fine with it.
Excellent. So without any further discussion, we'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor of item number 18 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous. Brings us to item number 19, discussion and action of a request by Helotes Incorporated for approval of a conceptual design plan for Astro Homes Incorporated, a business specializing in the sale of sheetrock located at 11978 Leslie Road, more particularly described in Bearcat County property ID number 1215354, including the following: site plan, building design, and exterior lighting. I'll invite a motion in a second to discuss and take action.
Mr. Mayor, I motion that we discuss and take action on item number 19.
I'll second
Matt, the floor is yours.
I don't have any issues with this, Mr. Mayor.
So my only comment, and it's just a general comment, is that I'm really happy that they're gonna develop that piece of land. It looks, based off of the concept, it looks really good. And I think Mr. Blue on PNZ had brought up the other night that the color scheme looks really, that look and feel what we want Helotes to look like. So this isn't a concern, it's just a comment. The lighting, they're proposing 18,000 and 27,000 lumens on their lights, and I know that will be determined further on down the road in more detail. I'm trying to quantify how bright that actually is, because I know we do appreciate the Texas darkness and stuff. Now, I do realize it's across the street from the OC tennis courts, which light up half of Helotes and San Antonio, but it's just a comment. That might be something we need to just pay attention to when we get more into the details of developing this property.
Well, to put it in perspective, you can buy a flashlight. It has 34,000 lumens. So it's probably just a flashlight, but nonetheless, to put it in perspective, you can handheld more lumens than that what they're putting off the entire property. Well, that's true. Okay, Linda, do you have any comments? No more questions. We will go ahead and call the question. All in favor of approving item 19 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item number 20. This will be the discussion of an action on a resolution by the City of Helotes City Council authorizing the e-commerce accelerator initiative program for the City of Helotes Economic Development Corporation for fiscal year of 2021 strategic work plan and approving the reallocation of budgeted FY 2021 funds into EDC operating account number 05-510-5211, marketing tourism to support this program. For a motion and a second.
Mr. Mayor, I have a motion that we discuss and take action on item number 20.
I'll second.
Okay.
So I did speak with Glenn earlier, and there were a few concerns that I had just in general in my background, and one is that I see there's a potential that any of the businesses that we go ahead and match the grants to, if they find somebody off the street willing to work for $5,000 or whatever we end up matching them. One thing, I don't know what mechanism we could use to do this, but I would advise that there's some sort of vendor lock-in mitigation tool, so that way, our small businesses down in Old Town and on the strip here don't get taken advantage of. For example, one of the items in this program is to set up social accounts. So, some sort of tool where the actual business owner is also on there as an admin or an owner for the Google My Business account, for Facebook, et cetera, something like that. So that way they're not just, because I also saw that there's no preferred vendor list or anything, so hypothetically, they can choose anybody they want, right?
Correct. We actually presented it with trying to do a list of preferred vendors, but the board actually asked us to open it up because there are some, since it's also an e-commerce and website, that some of the businesses already have website designers. And so because of that, they didn't want to limit it to just the vendors that because we will have a preferred list, but they didn't want to limit that because then they already have a website that is viable and they use them or they've used that company before. They didn't want to limit that, and we just say, okay, you can just use our preferred list of vendors. They want to be able to use vendors that they've used before or they've trusted. So there are businesses out there that have used website vendors before, so we want to be able to give those businesses that opportunity to do so.
I believe we are using, these are existing businesses, and so they have the vested interest to make sure they're using quality vendors, like you said, people they're already doing business with,
Correct.
as opposed to it's their best interest to make sure that they pick a vendor that is going to be viable and reputable, but that would be their selection process. Okay.
And then, well, one other thing, I didn't see, was there a post-program survey or anything?
Yes, and we will be
Okay.
following them afterwards, especially 6 months and then to a year after that to see what the success rate on that is.
Great. That's it this one. Merchant.
Yeah, that was my question. So, I wanted to know who was gonna, since this is a grant, who's gonna track the success or failure of this
It
program?
will be EDC.
And then, is there a specific person responsible to collect this data and like record it?
It will probably be between myself, Glenn, and Andrea, who also does it for PR. So between the three of us, we will be the one that will do that.
So I love the whole idea of the program, and I know when you guys brought it up to council a couple meetings ago, at first I was hesitant about, well, the business owners have to have some skin in the game, right? So there's some cost for them,
There is.
but I just think about when I was a young airman, I'd go to the training and it was free and I had no one paying, I didn't have to pay any tuition or whatever. I didn't get as much out of it, I didn't take it as seriously, so. I just like the fact that the EDC is reaching out and continuously helping our businesses. I do have a question, I always have one. So the 3 accounts that we're moving the money out of, is it coming out, is it 25, 25, 25?
No, there are some accounts that we realize we are not going to be able to do those projects that we thought we were going to do just because of just different circumstances that has happened during the year, COVID, stuff like that, and some survey researches and so forth. So we decided, the board looked at it and said, so we'll put that money here. This would go back into the businesses and it would be better to use this for the marketing and support the businesses.
Okay, thank you.
I love the idea of us partnering with businesses, supporting them. And we brought up with COVID, it's been a tough year for our businesses, so hopefully we can give them a little edge and get them back on track. So I'm excited about this program.
Just as a little public service announcement, when we're talking about the EDC, they are an organization, a corporation, the Economic Development Corporation, with this purpose to be able to invest in ways into the community that would help develop our community and sustain our businesses. And certainly that was a challenge this past pandemic. And going forward, we're looking forward to many great things out of the EDC. This is an excellent step and I feel most appropriate use of our funds. Without any other questions, we'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor of approval of item 20 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 21 will be the discussion of an action of a resolution on the City of Helotes City Council authorizing the mayor to execute an easement agreement between the City of Helotes and the San Antonio Water Systems Board of Trustees for permanent and temporary sewer pipeline easements on city-owned property, Tract 1, being located near the intersection of Paragon Road and FM 1560, and Tract 2 being located on Old FM 1560, generally by the entrance to the municipal complex at 12951 Bandera Road. Motion and a second to open.
I move we discuss, take action on agenda item 21.
Not second. Great.
So I don't think we really have, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, we really don't have a choice on this anyways, right? One of the lifts that SUS maintains is going out of commission, it's getting sundown. So in order to keep our waste treatment stuff flowing, we have to have this put in place, right? So it's really, so there's really no discussion, offset support.
It is best for us to, I recommend for us to support this because it helps with the programming and the lift, you know what I mean? They are just decommissioning one and then it will help with the other lift.
And kind of clarification, this is because it is operating currently at max capacity.
Correct.
And for the one at the bottom of the hill, in the park at the bottom of Iron Horse Canyon, if anybody lives in Iron Horse Canyon and gets that every other week off the sewer, this will help address this.
Yeah, it'll bypass that other the lift station and then go, and it's at critical capacity.
Let's do this way.
Sorry, I'm
No.
so we need to do this.
Yes, yes, we do. Okay. We do need to do this, and there's gonna be a big hole dug out here, so.
So we actually haven't staked it, we had a lot of concerns, we haven't staked it, we looked to see, where it was gonna be, so we haven't staked every area. I walked in, I videotaped it, made sure, and then, and made sure that any trees would be protected, that they're gonna put it back, and then also gave them a list of what, because if it's gonna affect any of our events and so forth, so they have that list, so they are aware
That's
of
my
it.
question.
Yes.
How is it gonna affect like moving items
No,
and
I
such
mean,
like
no,
that?
they're gonna work with us so that
Okay.
they have that schedule, they
So
have
we'll get it in,
everything.
get done.
Correct.
I have enough.
Well, I'd like to just commend you for being so thorough and checking all this out first. Thank you for keeping everybody in mind. And, I mean, it's something you need to do, but you're just making sure it's safe and that everything will continue to work as it should. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. So when does it start? When does it end?
Once we do that, then they'll give us a timeline of exactly when, you know what I mean? We've had to get the survey out there and so forth, and then they'll give us a timeline of, you know, this is the first step.
Sorry, that's sort of request. All right. This will be a much needed project. We're happy to see this move forward. So, without any other questions, we'll go ahead and all in favor of approving the motion to approve item number 21 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Which brings us to our final item, number 22, discussion of and action on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Helotes, Texas, authorizing the city to consent to the assignment of the development agreement from VT Bandera Oaks Limited to Gahan Homes Limited as allowed per ordinance number 20-08, Article 7, Section 7.1. The assignment. Take a motion in a second to discuss and take action.
I move that we discuss agenda item 22
Discuss and action.
and action.
Okay, and a second.
I'll second it.
Linda?
Well, I was going to see, are there any representatives here from
Do we have any representatives from
the
any party listed on item number 22? None?
No, okay, well, we got a lot of people. I thought maybe somebody was here from there. No, but it looks fine to me. It's just the sale from one company to another.
Okay. Greg?
Yeah, so it actually looks like they did their part of the agreement, and they put all the work, set up the site, so now that they can go back and give it to the builder, and they can actually start to build the home. So it looks like everyone's done everything they're supposed to do, so I don't see any reason not to approve this.
Excellent. Okay. I believe we have, for those that are aware, we have 22 houses in this, or subdivision will be built out when all said and done. So if there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor of approving item number 22 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Well, that brings us to the end of the new city council's first council meeting. I believe that there's a reception for our new council members in the hallway. We invite you all to join us afterwards. At this time, we'll go ahead and look for a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. No, I'm sorry, we do not need a motion for this. We'll just adjourn. Already a little motion happening there. We are adjourned at 7:44.